Welcome back to another episode of Generation Red, the kettle corn of Husker fan podcast, where we try to be sweet, but at times we get salty. I am your host, Ken.
And I am Scott.
And we're going old school tonight, folks. As you can see, I'm sitting at the old school camera angle here in the studio, and it's just Scott and I because Coach has other things going on, and so does Justin. So they will not be joining us tonight. However, stay tuned because there might be a special episode of Generation Red tomorrow night with myself, Coach, and Justin, because I think they have a few things to say about the game on Saturday. We just couldn't make it work for all four of us to be able to do that tomorrow night. So here we are, Scott and I, old school, dude. This is like roots, getting back to what we did when we first started this thing. And I think this is going to be fun, a little bit different.
Yeah, it's a throwback for sure. When it was just, just a gang, the father and son duo running amok, not really knowing what we're doing. So we will just, we'll just bring it back, old school style, and talk about this W that we got, kind of preview USC, look around on the Twitterverse, see what people have been saying, and just kind of just let it free flow tonight. We don't really have very many notes to run off of, but we'll kind of just let it flow.
Alrighty, well, that's a plan. And in the meantime, before we kind of get started with everything, folks, if you want to follow the show, you can do that at GenRedPod on Facebook, X, or right here on YouTube, as well as if you would rather listen to the audio of the show because you don't have time to watch it in its entirety here on YouTube, you can do that by subscribing to Generation Red on your favorite podcast app like Apple, Google Podcasts, and Spotify. Our email address is genredpod@gmail.com, and our website is genredpod.com. Let's see here. Generation Red merch is now available. Click on the QR code at the top of the page here using your camera on your phone. That'll take you right to our merchandise store. Or if you're listening to this podcast and on audio later, make sure you go to our website at genredpod.com and click the link at the top of the page. We also want your opinion. Sound off during the show. Let us know what you think of some of the things we talk about tonight in the live chat. If you happen to watch this video on demand later after we've been live, you can also sound off in the comments section. We'd love to hear from you, and we do our best to respond to every comment. We really appreciate you listening. We appreciate you all joining us tonight. Make sure you like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any future content, like perhaps the special edition of Gen Red Live tomorrow night. So we appreciate you all very, very much. Nebraska won. They pulled one literally out of their backside, just kind of like they did the 2 weeks prior to the debacle in Minnesota, where we had to come from behind 2 weeks in a row and win a game in the fourth quarter, and both games being ones in which kind of the thing that we all noticed was Dylan's pretty doggone clutch once he's thrown an INT. Once he's made a mistake and it's not working real well, he gets, as Coach Rule says, he gets blood in his eyes. He gets pissed off, and he can drive his team down the field. And that again happened on Saturday, leading to the 28-21 win. I'm just going to ask you right off the bat, Scott, if you had overall thoughts on the game, just kind of the whole thing, if you were to encapsulate the entire game, what would you say?
I would say the jury's still out. I think I'll feel better about this game if, obviously, at the end of the season, we're going to know at the same time. But what does this Northwestern Wildcat team look like as the season goes on? Yes, they were on a 4-game winning streak before coming into Lincoln, but football is a game of parity, man. There's ups and there's downs, and we had a good fight with them, but I still don't know where to gauge us. I'm still at a complete loss. I'm glad that yes, we buckled down. We once again faced a lot of adversity, and we overcame. But there's just that uncomfortable feeling at the end of that game that's like, okay, we now have 3 one-score wins of the season. That's nice. That's a change of pace. There's the program is clearly in a better position than it has been historically. But at the same time, I'm like, I don't know what to think of this team as I'm watching the game against Northwestern, where it's like feast or famine. It's up, it's down, it's a roller coaster. It's a Raiola coaster, as it was coined a week or two ago.
Yeah.
So yeah, my overall just thoughts of the game was like giant question mark with an asterisk. It's there's some good things. I mean, if there's anything that I can say for certain is that Emmett Johnson is a damn good running back. I like that you pointed out that yes, Dylan Raiola. It's nice to know that we have a quarterback that doesn't get in his head. He takes the adversity and uses it as fuel to be a better quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, he hasn't been perfect, and in some cases in some instances that hasn't been the case. But for the most part, yeah, against Maryland, like he became clutch. He just drinks up clutch juice whenever he makes a lot of mistakes. And then Mike Eckler, best coaching hire that Nebraska has made in a decade. Period. Like Matt Rule, that's a good hire, but there's still a lot left to be desired as a head coach as a whole. There's some discrepancies within his coaching staff that I think he needs to correct.
Mm-hmm.
But one thing is for sure, bringing in Mike Eckler has won us more games this year than we would have won in the past just because of what we do on special teams. So special teams, Emmett Johnson, Dylan Raiola drinking clutch juice after throwing INTs. I don't know. What do you think, Dad? Do you agree with me? Do you have any things to add in addition to that?
Well, I think I absolutely agree with you that this team leaves. If they're one thing, they're consistently inconsistent. You don't know what team we're going to get from Saturday to Saturday, but if they're close in the fourth quarter with number 15 in the back behind the center, you've got at least a chance, right? Whereas even just a year ago, number 15, you couldn't believe him to come back and make something happen in the fourth quarter, because over the course of 2023 and 2024, Nebraska won a grand total of 3 games that were one-score games. We've done that 3 of them already this year. There's not that many teams in the Big Ten that can say that. So we're consistently inconsistent, and I think for me, it all starts up front, and that is the line of scrimmage has not gotten much better on defensive line or offensive line. They just haven't. Case in point, they gave up 1 sack on Saturday, which I guess you could say, okay, offensive line's a little better, and Teddy Prohaska sacrificed his knee in that 1 sack. Unfortunately, he's basically out. I think he's just just done, which sucks, because what a kid. They gave him the game ball and everything. But the defensive line generated 0 sacks on Saturday. And if you want to look overall at the season, the line of scrimmage coming into question is glaringly obvious, because they've allowed 26 sacks on the offensive line, most of them coming in Big Ten play, and only getting 12 sacks on defense. So what I'm taking away from that is the fact that, yes, there is a giant question mark next to how good this team is, because our offensive and defensive line really aren't that good. And Emmett Johnson is getting a lot of his yards because he's just, as you said, a damn good running back, and he's making holes for himself. He's finding that small little spot that he could cut into that Amir was so good at finding back when those offensive lines needed a little bit of help too when Pelini was coaching. And thank God we had a guy like Amir who could exploit just about any crease. And that's what Emmett's doing. He's finding spots. We think he's, early in the year, it's like, God, he's doing a lot of dancing. Well, he's kind of figured something out. He's figured out that, yeah, I can do one little quick jump cut, and then I've got a jab step and hit it. And he's doing that, and he's making a lot of guys he made 10 people miss again on Saturday. It was 11 the week that we beat Maryland, and it was 10 this week. And I think he made 7 or 8 people miss in Minnesota. If only we would have just gave him the ball more, but that's neither here nor there. So that's what I overall took away from the game, is that the line of scrimmage is what the line of scrimmage is. And if this team is going to win 8 games, it's going to win them by 1 score. It's just that simple, because we're not going to put people away. I don't think we have it in us to put people away. I don't think we have a defensive line that's going to bow up when we've got a 10 or a 14-point lead and prevent offenses from scoring. And we're damn sure not going to get any help from any referee crew. So, because you can make the case that 15 unanswered points that Northwestern scored were aided greatly by some really bad officiating. So, which we can get into later. I've got some timeline stuff from Twitter that was so entertaining that I grabbed to talk about the referees kind of toward the end of our breakdown here. But that was my main takeaway. The other takeaway I got is I got it from Twitter. So we're just going to kind of go through the timeline throughout the game. In fact, I didn't really start grabbing screenshots until we got to halftime. But this is the first one that I grabbed before the game. Everybody's probably seen this picture, but that's what Rocco Spindler's finger looked like when he went to the hospital in Minneapolis after dislocating it. So he's still playing. I mean, he went out there and it was like Rule said at the beginning of the year, it was all about pain tolerance. And apparently he had no problem tolerating the pain. He wanted to play for his team. So that to me says everything we need to say about how tough and how resilient this team actually is. You take away that Minnesota game and this team's been tough as hell, throughout the season. So that's the first slide I've got. Any thoughts on that?
I mean, you got to be a tough son of a gun to have any sort of appendage that is hurting, especially when you are an offensive line where hand work is very important.
You're punching. Every play you're punching. Yep.
Yeah. So what a dog.
For sure. What was that comment you threw up a second ago? I didn't see that.
It's from Moonbot. Moonbot says that the D-line has an excuse this year because we lost 3 of our main players from last year.
Yeah, you had 3 transfer out and you had the 2 run stuffers in the middle, graduate. We didn't need to lose those 3 from last year, but I don't know. It is what it is. If you're not willing to pony up the cash, and for me, that's kind of one of the question marks I have going into this offseason. Nebraska's going to a bowl. If we manage to win 8 and we get to go to Florida or Nashville or somewhere for a decent, warm bowl game, what are we going to do in the offseason in the transfer portal to shore up those lines of scrimmage? And let's be honest, too, Moonbot's got another good point. Your point is well taken, Moonbot, because the guys that were left are extremely young. They're still developing. They're still lifting. They're still trying to get up to the ideal weight that they want to play them at. So you're right. There's a reason. I wouldn't call it an excuse, though, but there is certainly a reason. And you've got an extremely inexperienced defensive line coach coaching his first room on his own as an actual defensive line coach, and Terry Braden, who came from the Kansas City Chiefs. But he was an assistant there, much like Donovan Raiola was at the Chicago Bears when we hired him away in 2022. So, and for me, those are the 2 question marks on the coaching staff that I wonder if there isn't any conversation happening about, is this going to be adequate enough going forward? Because both of them are the 2 most inexperienced at their position that's on this team. And this is a line of scrimmage league. You need to have really good coaching up front because that's how you win games. So, and championships especially. Husker Podcast right about halftime said 13 points over the last 6 quarters of football. Husker fans deserve some of that NIL. Or maybe some of that NIL back, because I have a feeling there's some Husker fans that are donating quite a bit of that as well. So that made me laugh, so I grabbed it. Then another one, I think it was at halftime, Dr. Rob at Doc Talk Sports said, random stuff we'll discuss on the pod. Interior D-line getting pushed around. O-line not getting much push. Plus, we need tackles, offensive tackles bad. And a lot of Emmett's yards are coming from just him making guys miss and breaking tackles, which we talked about that earlier.
Yep.
I haven't listened to that podcast yet. I'm looking forward to it to hear where Doc kind of has this offensive line graded. For me, if I were to grade the offensive line at this point in the year on the 26 sacks alone, they're not getting much better than a D from me, so, but what do you think of that? I mean, for sure, the line of scrimmage is certainly a concern. And for me, the source of the biggest question mark moving forward.
Yeah, I think just Emmett Johnson. Dude is sitting at 5th in the nation right now for rushing yards generated. And I remember when we did our over-under game with the Cuzcast, and I brought forward the idea of like, what do we say? Over-under rushing yards for Emmett Johnson, 850. And I think we all kind of were. I don't remember what the split was with that, like where we all stood with that.
I think we only went with over under on total rushing yards for the team, but I'll look it up here.
Okay.
The fill-in.
It was a hypothetical question I asked. So I don't think it was an official. I don't think it was an official over under question we asked. I just remember earlier in the season it was like over under 850 for Emmett Johnson. Maybe it was with our missing co-hosts right now.
Should have been, yeah.
Yeah, I just remember that question being asked, and Emmett Johnson is sitting at 837. So I'm gonna say it's safe to say that he will get that over. And dude, like, yeah, I'd say that the talking point, like we know our D line is not what we were hoping after having such two stellar dudes go to the NFL, and then our O line, man, what a bummer. But truly, like, we knew there was something special with Emmett Johnson. Before, at the end of last season, we saw those little sparks, those little moments of goodness. But now we're seeing moments of greatness.
Yeah.
And man, where would we be? Where would we be as a team without Emmett Johnson and without Mike Eckler?
We'd be 3-5 or 4-4. That would be because of the offensive and defensive line. You got to win up front. So just for, I don't have the information specifically about Emmett, but we said for our over under for 2025, because we thought Dana would commit to running the ball more, I set the over under at 2,169 yards as a team.
What did you say? 2,100?
2,169. Because remember, I took your number because I'm a jerk that way. We said we were all under except for Justin. Justin Adams said he thought it would be 2,200 plus. So
okay, well, we're probably not going to. We're definitely under. We're going to be under because besides Emmett Johnson, we've had nothing burger.
Yeah, Emmett's probably going to get 1,200 this year on his own. So at least that's what he's on pace for. And I saw this earlier today. Emmett Johnson has a total of 1,019 yards from scrimmage between rushing and receiving, and he's the only Power 4 running player, not running back, but player, to have over 1,000 yards from scrimmage in the Power 4. So that's pretty impressive considering he really doesn't have a whole lot of offensive line in front of him. So pretty awesome. Okay, Mike, Husker Mike at Husker Mike 28. This was just at halftime as well. Dysfunctional. Other problems with far less talent don't have the problems that Nebraska has. It's almost hard to explain. It never looks normal.
That's what we were talking about.
Yeah, never looks normal. It seems like we're pulling teeth to get things done. When third and short comes along, like happened a lot on Saturday, it seemed like Northwestern was able to just submarine us and get 2, 3, 4 yards without having to work for it. Meanwhile, we're trying to pick up a 3rd and 1, and we can't move the line of scrimmage. So it certainly is dysfunctional when it comes to that part of the game, being able to move and change the line of scrimmage to your advantage. And it doesn't hurt that guys like Elijah Judy were being held all day long on Saturday. I watched the game again. I'm like, oh my Lord, he broke through. And when you're turned sideways like this, it's because somebody's got a hold of your shoulder and they're holding you back. So, but anyway, yes, you're right, Moonbot. We look like a fat kid trying to climb a slide at times.
Yeah. It's like that buttered or the greased pig from Family Guy.
All right, fade pattern. This would have been in the third quarter. Husker Takes. Paul Jacobson says fade pattern. Some idiot in the stadium while the ball was in the air. Oh my God. FYI, that idiot was me. I think he was talking about the pass to Hunter that made an NFL
Another
catch.
fade.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, yeah, for sure.
Hey, Dave. Thanks for joining in on the pod. Coach B has some coaching responsibilities to attend to, and Justin also has things that he has to attend to tonight. So it's just me and Pops tonight. So
Gen Red
father-son duo.
That's
we're doing a throwback episode. the way things used to run around here. We're just a
That's
couple
right.
of us doofballs. We're just
Just
running our mouths.
flapping our yaps. Yeah, for sure. And but stay tuned, Dave. If you got anything going on at 8:00 tomorrow night, there's a very, very good chance that Coach and I, along with Justin, will be right back here tomorrow night to discuss this game as well. So same song and dance a million times. This was the guys at the Husker Football Fan Podcast, one of my favorite listens, at Husker Pod on Twitter to follow them. Same song and dance a million times. Our team struggles to rise above poor officiating, so we hyper-focus on every single call, warranted or not. Meanwhile, if our team executes, we don't have to worry about bad calls. The officials didn't run that ball 56 yards for a TD. That was in response to that long touchdown run where it was, once again, short yardage. We all bunched all the way in at the line of scrimmage on defense, and all that slow-ass running back had to do was bounce it outside, and there was nobody there. So a lot of bad run fits on that play. I'd be curious to hear what Coach or Justin have to say about that particular play if we get together and hang out tomorrow night. Hey, Big Red Junkies, what's up, fellas? Good to see you. Thanks for joining us tonight. We appreciate it. Of course, we'd love to hear your thoughts as we go through these screenshots we grab from Twitter and kind of talk about the game along the way. One point, at Husker Wave was really feeling his oats, and he said, someone checked the sideline to make sure this man isn't there. For those of you listening, it's a picture of Scott Frost when he was here coaching for Nebraska. So I thought that was worth the comedic. That was good comedic timing on Twitter at that point in the game, because I think I was a little pissy at that point because the third quarter was kind of looking a little scary with some of those calls we weren't getting. So, and that was at the end of the game, at Husker GI. That's Active Duty Husker on X. Fantastic follow as well. Ball game, great win over the Wildcats and the officials. You're flying in for the USC game, other Dave. That's awesome. Will weather be an issue? You might want to be warm. I don't know if rain or anything is in the forecast. I haven't looked, but you might want to be warm. I think you'll be in the low 40s, high 30s for kickoff, I think it is. Last I checked, I think it was right around 38 degrees.
Yeah, I'd bring warm clothes. If you got a heated jacket, that would be the best.
Yep.
Keep your little tootsies warm as well.
For certain. Husk Guys, at Husk Guys. These guys are an interesting read as well, because 1 minute they can be like this, and then the next tweet, when I show it, you'll see there was a mood swing. Dana Holgerson must read message boards. We ran the damn ball today. EJ, 27 carries, 124 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 2 receptions for 15 yards. And then after that, they tweeted, I don't understand why Nebraska just can't win without the emotional heart attack and panic attack inducing part. Dude, you're reading Husker Nation's mind, Husk Guys. But man, a win is a win is a win. Huskers are 6-2. They've won 3 one-score games by winning the fourth quarter. The tide is turning, folks. Enjoy the W and have a Saturday. I mean, you go from the top of that tweet to the bottom. It was like, I'm so panicked. And then, hot damn, we actually won a game at the bottom of the tweet. So all in the space of about 30 seconds, the mood completely swung in that tweet. So I don't mean to analyze you at Husk Guys. I really don't. But some days I do the same darn thing. So anyway. Go Big Redcast, at Go Big Redcast. Probably the reason that Scott and I got into podcasting in the first place was listening to these guys. Quick post-game thoughts. Amazing what happens when you consistently get Johnson carries. Special teams is a difference maker this season. We're finally winning these coin toss games. Big Ten refs are god-awful. OCs really do overthink things and need to get more pressure on an opposing QBs going forward. That is a mouthful. That's a lot of things that I think are worth discussing. I think Dana learned his lesson from Minnesota. He overthinks things. He overthought himself, thinking, boy, we can throw downfield on these guys, never taking into consideration that his team would give up 7 sacks in the process. Whereas Johnson was still averaging 4.5, 5 yards a carry in that game. So, I don't know. And then special teams, obviously, difference maker. Didn't make much of a difference in the Minnesota game, but they sure did on Saturday with the Kenneth Williams return and with 2 returns. He had 2 really good returns. So Um, any other thoughts on that particular list of things that the Go Big Redcast threw out there?
I'm reading right now. I'm trying to think if I have anything to say. I mean, yeah, they're pretty much stating the obvious, which is good. I think that it's duh. We need to get more pressure on opposing quarterbacks. I'd say that's probably the biggest thing. It would have helped to get at least a sack or two.
Yeah.
But, it is what it is.
Yeah, and I got on some of my notes here that the defense seems to struggle when plays break down, when they can't get to the quarterback and the quarterback starts running around and rolling out of the pocket. It always seems like somebody ends up open downfield too. Or I noticed a few times guys were diving at ankles again, trying to make tackles, and that's where we lost a couple of guys on some of those runs and some of those yards after catch. And too many times our defenders are knocking each other off of tackles. Some guy will have a ball carrier in his grasp and somebody will come in to help clean up the tackle and they'll knock each other right off the ball. So there's a lot more. There's a lot more that needs to be cleaned up there. Good question from the Big Red Junkies. What was bigger, more carries for Emmett Johnson or more blocks by Emmett Johnson? I think Emmett needs to have the ball in his hands more. I mean, 27 carries was great. I didn't notice him necessarily in the pass game as far as blocking and keeping people off of Dylan. Perhaps he was there. It seemed like most of the time when Dylan was going to throw, it was because there was nobody in the backfield with him anyway. But I'd certainly take a lot more carries. I wouldn't mind 25 touches a game for EJ, even if it is 25 carries and 3 or 4 passes would be great. How about you, Scott? What do you think of that question?
Yeah, I guess I didn't really pay attention too much. I'll be honest, I didn't notice his blocking game. So that even adds another level, another layer of what Emmett Johnson brings to this team. Because Lord knows we need blockers. It doesn't matter if it's run scheme or passing scheme. We got to get blockers. We got to give our playmakers better opportunities. So that just puts him into another tier of what I would consider a playmaker from this game and the season as a whole.
Yeah, he certainly wasn't good in the Minnesota game. He got beat a few times. That's kind of one of his liabilities that I've heard mentioned as well, and I've kind of noticed. I just wasn't looking specifically for it in this game, but it has been mentioned before that his pass blocking does leave a little bit desired when it comes to picking up a blitzer. So probably even recognizing a blitz really might be something he struggles with as well. I got another tweet here. Sam McEwen at Sam McEwen OWH says Dylan Raiola says his favorite of the third down conversions on the game-winning TD drive was the throw to Dane Key because Key was exhausted from running deep routes. I'm pretty sure Key was pretty tired from doing all the blocking he was doing too, because he did pancake a few dudes when Emmett had the ball in his hands. So exhausted from running too many deep. And those deep routes probably sprung Emmett on some of those 10, 11, 12-yard runs too, because he at least drew enough coverage his direction that there was nobody out there to hit Emmett. So there we go. We're getting into the refs. I've got like 5 or I think 10 slides specific to the referees. So we'll kind of get into that before we move to USC. So you can this is that play where Deshaun McCullough was blocked all the way to the fence. So you can keep blocking someone 10 yards out of bounds, but if they throw you to the ground, you're the bad guy. Big Ten officials continue to be the F-knuckle of the officiating world. Because that was crazy. I mean, the play was long over, and he's just shoving Deshaun all the way back into the fence, and he gets the flag for throwing the dude to the ground. It's just kind of one of those things.
Yep.
And I don't know if it's a psychological thing in an official's mind, because red is recognized psychologically to be an aggressive color, a color that inspires aggression in other people. So it makes you wonder if with the red that the officials don't think that Nebraska is being more aggressive because they're wearing red versus the team that's wearing white. Just a thought. Or they just hate us.
Possible.
Because we
I'd say that's likely.
Wanted to play football in 2020. They just hate us. Abrupt movement on the nose tackle. Remember that call on Riley?
Yeah.
Targeting on the offensive line from the week prior. Does the Big Ten just make up penalties against NU? That was from @GoBigRedcast on X. That's an interesting question. I'd heard, or somebody had mentioned on one of the media podcasts, that abrupt movement is a new rule this year to help curb or stop the defensive line attempting to draw the offense off sides, which to me is just kind of like targeting. It's just kind of a judgment call penalty that they can throw whenever the frick they want to, just to mess with the team that they want to mess with at that particular moment. Because I hadn't seen it called before this year in any game I've ever watched. So, but yeah. Anyway, all he was doing was sliding from the B gap to the A gap or whatever it was, or 3 technique to the 1 technique. So just because it happened to time the snap doesn't mean it was penalizing. But anyway. Today years old, Damon Benning, I guess from the booth on the radio, abrupt movement. Today years old, I know there's a penalty for abrupt movement.
Yeah, I kept seeing on Twitter people talking about, because they were just listening to the radio cast, and I guess Benning was just losing his marbles at the officiating and some other aspects of the game, but mostly the officiating, and was just flabbergasted. Because something that I appreciate about any color commentator, sportscaster, is you kind of have to set aside your fan mode and you have to put on your objective play calling cap. You can't let the emotional roller coaster get to you, because you have to call an objective game. And Damon Benning and who's the new guy? I keep forgetting this guy's name.
Kyle Crooks.
Kyle Crooks. They've been phenomenal this year.
Yeah.
I know Damon's always been incredible. But you gotta really have a bad game called when you get the the sportscasters to decide that they're just gonna kind of dog on you. So yeah, it's kind of like what tweet you popped up earlier, where it's like, man, Nebraska just seems to be on maybe it's just, I'm biased, and so I only see what's going on Husker Twitter. I don't see what's going on Auburn Twitter, Duke Twitter. No, I don't know unless I know. But it seems like, we got kind of the initial novelty of the disconcerting signals call back in the day.
Yeah.
We get the abrupt movement, the targeting, and it's just like, it just seems like when the officials are wanting to exercise the nuances or the gray areas of an officiating book, they seem to want to experiment on Nebraska.
Yeah.
It's
easy to make that conclusion.
It just seems like it. I could be wrong. I hope I am wrong. I hope we're not just this cursed team that just seems to get all this, unprecedented calls. But whatever, we're winning more games. That's a plus.
Well, the Big Red Junkies did say, going back to kind of what we were talking about Emmett earlier, that arguably his best game blocking on the season. And then their next one was EJ is definitely improving at pass blocking, but I think a quicker throwing game is masking that issue. And I agree. I think I saw the stat earlier that the average time that Dylan held the ball before releasing it was like 2.8 seconds or 2.2 seconds. So he was definitely getting the ball out quicker. On the final drive. Yep, for sure. The refs were butt cheeks like always, says Moonbot. Dude, that dude just cracks me up. And I definitely I can't remember, Moonbot, if you're the guy that used to have the creepy avatar picture, but that one isn't so bad. I can't remember. Somebody had a really weird avatar picture, but Big Red Junkies, key blocked a dude into the wall in the first quarter too. Also no call. Okay, I didn't notice that. Thank you. Thank you for bringing that up. Hope he continues to do that. Pritchett is lucky there. Okay. I'm not sure they could have hit him harder for the unsportsmanlike conduct. Yeah, for sure. For sure. All right, let's jump back to some of these slides here. Here we go. The refs have no control over the game. There should have been a dead ball personal foul on Northwestern's running back after the face mask. There's going to be a fight or worse. Someone's going to get hurt. This is a total joke. I don't remember that particular play, so I'm not sure why I grabbed that screenshot. I think I did during the game, but I don't know for sure. Live look from inside Memorial Stadium, and it's, of course, a blindfolded ref standing on the field with his little poker, trying to find his way around the field. Yes, Jason from Huskerland, at Huskerland Jason on X says, finding myself unable to even enjoy the game at this point. I have no words. The integrity of this game has been compromised to an unconscionable degree. Huskers was responsive to at Huskers post about that fourth down spot on the non-catch by Northwestern that led to a touchdown. They said that is the worst spot in the history of football, for certain. For certain.
Yeah, because it wasn't even
a bad spot. It was a bad call, period, that he even caught that ball. They said it was even a catch.
There was like 3 levels to it. Like, not only did they give him a first down, which when I really look at it, it was definitely more of like a where they were at relative to the hash mark. It's very kind of, it's kind of one of those 50-50. Like, it could be, it couldn't be. But then, yeah, did he actually have possession of the ball? Did the ball touch the ground before he gained, for sure, possession of the ball? And then to add insult to injury, they gave him the ball line of scrimmage a yard in front of where the first down was. So they gave him a yard, more than they should have. And did he even catch the ball? And yeah, it's arguable if it was even a first down. And so it's just like bam, bam, bam. Just awful. It was just one of the, the ref, I knew we were in for a doozy when the first call that the ref had to make couldn't even chain together a coherent sentence, was just like skipping every third word that was supposed to be coming out of his mouth, and was just kind of speaking in cryptic terms. And it was like, I have no idea what the ref just called there. I don't know what just happened, but there was a flag and we're moving back. Like, I don't know what's going on. So that should have been a sign that we were going to be in for a game, and we were.
Oh, for certain. Very good point. Let's see here. Drew D. Brown 34, former kicker for Nebraska, said it's insane how much money the sport of college football is worth, and these conferences put up with this horrific officiating every week. No accountability from anyone. I 100% agree. I think with as much money as college football generates, I don't understand how you can't have officials be a full-time employees of their conferences, so they actually have some accountability to bosses. They don't just get to be independent contractors that can just do their job and run out of the stadium and not have to answer for anything at all. There needs to be some level of transparency. And I'm sorry, but it's not lost on me that Northwestern covered that game yesterday. It's not lost on me that they let some penalties go that could have affected that cover as well. So it's not lost on me on that at all. So, with the scandal going on in the NBA right now with betting and whatnot, and things going on with some coaches and players, and they're digging deep. FBI's digging deep. You can't tell me that maybe they should take a look at some of these officials and what they perhaps have for apps on their phones, if we're going to talk about true transparency and actually the integrity of the game. I mean, if players are getting caught up in it, like some Iowa guys were a few years back, you can't tell me that the refs are absolutely perfect and perfectly.
Yeah,
not the way they can't be that damn inept, is what I'm trying to say.
Yes, there is no conceivable way in my mind. Like, you hear of coaches you hear of players, you hear of every walk of person on the field and off the field participating in illegal gambling. But yet, when it comes to the college football landscape in my lifetime, I mean, somebody correct me if I'm wrong, and maybe it's happened before, but has there ever been a ref in college football that has been investigated and indicted for illegal gambling on games?
Not that I know of. Anybody
Yeah,
have any insight in the comments as to whether or not that has happened in the past? Not that I know of.
and
Seems like
it's like,
they're almost untouchable.
yeah, they're not saints, like they're people like anybody else.
Yeah.
I mean, they're doing a job that isn't their full-time job. That they're out there for the paycheck. And so why not make a little bit of money on the side? Um,
Mhm.
yeah, it's like, ugh, I don't know. I don't like that like there's no way. There's no way that a ref somewhere across any of the conferences is not throwing their hat into the ring of gambling. It
Yep.
just it just seems statistically unlikely to me. So, yeah, like you said, like you said, this sport makes so much money, pools of money,
Mhm.
Olympic-sized swimming pools of money every week. And yet they can't seem to scrounge up an actual, like, systematic officiating crew
Yeah.
that's on payroll. Like, you gotta do that, guys. Like, it's just
Mhm.
not. And I mean, obviously, there's problems with officiating in the NFL. There's problems with officiating in all professional sports. So it doesn't completely eliminate the problem. But man, I don't know about you, but I feel like the officiating year in, year out gets worse
Yep.
and worse and worse. And that's me speaking when I do watch other games. When I am watching other games, it's like this just doesn't seem good. This is not going well.
I'm sitting here trying to figure out, with as much money as these coaches make, what is so wrong about just speaking their mind about officials? Catching a fine, fine. They're not gonna lose or miss out on the money that they'd get fined. What if Rule stood up there and said something besides right is right, wrong is wrong, and that's all I'll say about it? What if he just stood up there and just said, "These guys sucked. They screwed us 3 or 4 times that affected the outcome of the game," and then just left it at that? You wouldn't, quote, unquote, "question their integrity" necessarily about betting or maybe what kinda interest they had in the outcome of the game, but just by just calling them out for what it is, which is they sucked. That's all there is to it. But he did, at least that was as strong as I'd heard him talk about refs, by saying right is right and wrong is wrong. But he did say he had to hold Troy Dannon back a couple times before they'd get a flag because he was really angry at the officials, especially after that fourth down call.
Yep.
But refs have scored 15 unanswered, says at Georgia RLS. Yeah. Um, Active Duty Husker says, I want to put this out there while the game is tied and after we intercepted it. It's right before the game winning drive. He says, this is the angriest I have been at an officiating crew and their ability to change/alter a game in a long time. An apology isn't going to fix anything. Absolutely true. And I don't know if the Big Ten has even reviewed anything yet or looked at it or even issued any kind of, but an apology is just like stupid. Absolutely stupid. It makes no sense because there's still no accountability in an apology because the refs aren't even the ones apologizing. It's just the damn conference. Hey, dude, whoops, they're bad. Doesn't do anything, doesn't affect anything, doesn't change outcomes. So anyway, and then after the game, obviously the Go Big Red Cast was watching BTN's studio show. They said, hey, BTN studio crew, we agree. We hate it when refs miss the obvious penalties. Funny how you're only focusing on that one play at the end. Did you not watch the rest of the game? Yeah, I kind of went back and watched that show too. They couldn't believe that Andrew Marshall was not flagged for holding on that last play. And if you watch it in real speed, um, it was negligible. It was not a serious hold at all. He really didn't slow him up all that much. The ball was basically uncatchable, even if he hadn't impeded him a little bit. It's not any different than what other defensive backs do to Dane Key or an Isaiah Hunter from play to play. They're all very handsy and they let them play. So why make that call at the end of the game? So I appreciated the fact that the officiating crew left the flag in the pocket on that one. Okay, so now we're kind of getting into our game ball awards. This is a tweet specifically related to one of them, and that's who I am giving my game ball award to, and that is Kenneth Williams. Because I think his return for a touchdown altered the outcome of the game because his was the difference, the 7-point difference in the game. So that's why I put this tweet up there where he told someone today is the day I'm going to take one back. The Husker special teams game-changing mindset is a big reason for the team's 6-2. Kenneth Williams is now tops in the country in kick return average at 34.7 yards per return, and Nebraska is third in punt coverage with a grand total of 1 yard allowed so far this year. So my game ball goes to Kenneth Williams. Coach says his game ball is going to Mike Eckler for kind of the same reason we just talked about, and that is 730 total return yards was a stat that came from Sam McEwen from the Omaha World Herald. I think it was on, I can't remember what show he was on when he mentioned that, but it's total return yards, kick and punt this season for Nebraska. That's more through 8 games than the entire seasons of 2018 through 2024. Think about that. That's unbelievable. Now, I didn't look it up. I don't know if it's cumulative to 730 return yards between 2018 and 2024, or just they didn't average that much in entire seasons through that 6-year period. So I should have looked that up and did that addition, but I didn't. And Nebraska right now is ranked, their rankings after week 10 is number 9 in the country in special teams. So top 10 special teams unit. So yeah. That's my game ball goes to Kenneth Williams, and coach says Mike Eckler. Your game ball award goes to,
like I said, Emmett Johnson. I mean, he got 2 touchdowns in that game, 124 yards, 15 yards reception. I mean, you can't ask much more from him, especially after the week before, where I think he would have made the difference in that Minnesota game had we utilized him earlier in the game and weren't put to the end of the ropes. Yeah, but in this game, Emmett Johnson has that. He's got that it factor. He's going to the NFL for sure. Yeah, I mean, what else can you ask from the guy? He's put the whole rushing scheme on his back because the next best guy is Quentin Ives, and he's got like 120 something rushing yards for the season. Like he is the one lone ranger in our rushing game. Without him, what would our season look like? So in this game, obviously this is the game ball, so I can't exactly compare it to a whole season. But in this game, he did his job. He accounted for half of our points, more than half for offense. Because I mean, Kenneth Williams is, a quarter of our points. So, Isaiah Hunter or Dane Key gets 7 points. Emmett Johnson gets 14. So, or I guess 6 and 12, but you know what I mean. Yeah. Emmett Johnson. What a dog. Love that dude.
For sure.
Money.
And then Arbitrary Analytics put on X just a little bit ago, yesterday, I think it was, or day before, excluding kneel downs, Emmett Johnson is responsible for 78.9% of the Huskers' rushing yards in 2025. This is the 4th highest percentage by a Big Ten back since 2011. 2012, Le'Veon Bell was responsible for 92.6% of Michigan State's rushing offense. And then in 2020, Alexander Horvath, I don't remember who he played for. That was 88.4%. Okay. Yep. Thank you. 2020, also in 2020 was Mohammed Ibrahim from Minnesota, was responsible for 79.2% of the rushing yards. Man, that dude was a beast that year.
Yeah.
And then, Nebraska is the 5th leading rusher in the FBS and also ranks 101st in rushing offense. So that tells you just how good Emmett has been and how screwed we are if he gets hurt.
Yep.
So There you go. That pretty much wraps up our Northwestern recap. We've got a USC preview we can do a little bit. Like I said, I didn't do any notes on this. I've just kind of went back and watched some of their highlights, watched what they can do. I did watch the entirety of the Notre Dame USC game a couple weeks ago because I kind of wanted to see what they looked like against a team that could run the football. And Notre Dame ran it right down their throat. So I expect a very heavy dose of Emmett Johnson on Saturday. And whoops. There we go. That's better. I expect a heavy dose of Emmett Johnson on Saturday. There should be a heavy dose of Emmett Johnson on Saturday because you got to slow down that pass rush. They do have some creatures up front that can get in the backfield pretty quickly. So that would be, for me, the thing I would hope that Nebraska really pays attention to is giving Emmett the ball quite a bit and spelling him a bit. Hopefully guys like, Mosey looked pretty good on Saturday, as did, I like the attitude and the run over somebody attitude that Mekhi Nelson had, minus the one that got him the flag. But the dude looks like he runs pretty heavy and angry too. So I look for Emmett to have another big game. I look for that defense to hopefully get some pressure on Maeva. I just don't know how effective they're going to be at doing that because I think that offensive line is pretty good at USC, and they can run the ball a little bit. So that concerns me as well. If you had keys to victory, what would that be for USC?
Well, we're going to have to stop their offense, even though their top two running backs are out with season-ending injuries. They still have a highly productive running game. Yep. I think they got over 100 yards with one rusher against Michigan, and they got 50 or 60 something yards out of an individual. I think the last name is Miller, out of USC's team against Notre Dame this last weekend. I guess it would have been because they were on a bye week this week, so the week before. But you know what I mean.
Yep.
But USC has the number one total offense in the country. So we are going to be playing against one of the most prolific offenses that we've faced this year. What is our secondary going to do? Because Jaden Maeva is a stellar quarterback. They've got dogs in the wide receiver core. I mean, they're just an extremely dangerous offense. And we know that our secondary is good. We know that they're a good secondary, but everywhere else still seems to have a lot of question marks. We seem to give up a lot of big plays. So what are we going to do this year or this game? So I think the key to victory is we're going to have one of the best defensive performances that we've seen this year. And if we don't, I would not put stock in our offense getting into a shootout with USC.
Oh, for sure. They're the second highest scoring offense in the conference at 42.4 points per game. Nebraska is the sixth highest scoring offense at 35 points a game. So we're ahead of our over-under. Our over-under, I think we set it like 29.5 this year with the Cuzcast. So far we're hitting the over.
That's good.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome for sure. Let's see here. Let's take a look at their rushing offense versus ours. Yeah, they're fourth in the conference in rushing at 203 yards per game. And Nebraska's dang near at the bottom, 13th in the conference at just under 130 yards. So, but let's take a look at their defense. What's their rushing defense look like? Yeah, they're not great. They're 11th at 136 yards a game that they're giving up, whereas Nebraska is worse at 156. So that'll be the key to victory for me. Stop their run. Can we stop their run enough to force them to throw the ball more than they want to? But I think if you put USC in a situation where they have to throw the ball, I think Lincoln Riley loves that because that's his jam. He wants his quarterback to accumulate yards. I just don't know if they're going to want to throw at Sierra Wright very often. And I'm pretty sure they're not going to want to throw to Marshall's side very often either. So Donovan Jones is going to have another good game like he did on Saturday. I thought he was excellent. So, yeah, can you limit the big plays? Can you not give up a big run, hold them to under 150 yards of rushing offense? And I think Nebraska has a chance. And they've got to get out to quick start on offense, be more efficient on third down and short, not leave us with these fourth down, do we do it or do we not do it type things on offense. So those are my keys. Stop their run, hold them to under 150, eliminate the big plays or at least limit them, and get out to a quick start on offense. So it's a night game, all black unis. I mean, I think the uniforms look cool. I'm just not an alternate uniform fan, just not my thing. So I'll be wearing red on Saturday on my couch. So, bold prediction. What do you have for a bold prediction for me for Saturday? Something bold that you think could happen in this game, good or bad, for one side or the other?
I'm going to say that a running back not named Emmett Johnson pops off a 50-yard touchdown run.
Ooh, I like it. I like it. So you want to name who that you think that running back could be?
Isaiah Mosey.
You think Isaiah Mosey does it? I like it. I like it. My bold prediction. Let's see here. I'll say that somebody on the defensive line tips a Maeva pass and also makes the interception.
Nice.
So, and if I'm going to name somebody to do that, I'm going to say, and I'm going to be really bold here, I'm going to say it will not be Williams Nwaneri. It will be Cam Lenhart.
Cam.
So, he's got them long ass arms, man, and he's come close to knocking a few down this year. So, Moonbot's got a good one. Williams gets another kick return TD. I haven't really looked that closely at their special teams ratings. I should do that.
Find out. Special teams. Let's see. Well, I guess I don't know what their defense.
Big Conference, Big Ten. Yeah, we're really doing good here. Sorry, folks. Great podcasting. Kick punts. Boop, 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 boop. It's usually right there, and I can't find it. So it's okay.
Yeah, I guess I don't know special
kickoff
teams
returns.
defense.
Let's see here. Kickoff returns. Nebraska is number 1 in the conference at kickoff return yardage, whereas USC is number 14. They're not great. Averaging 18 yards a kickoff. Nebraska's averaging 31.5. So, yes, I like that matchup. I like it, Moonbot. And then the other Dave, as per usual, says Barney gets his PR punt return for a TD. I think he says that every week, or he or Moonbot trade off every other week on that one. All right, so let's jump into score predictions. I've got Nebraska winning 31-28 because I do think they're going to limit the run game. I do think they're going to be amped up for this. I don't think they're going to lay another egg like they did against Minnesota. I think they can be physical enough to get the running game going. And if they're willing to feed Emmett, and if they're willing to limit the amount of times that Dylan has to drop back and suscept himself to a pass rush, I like this team. I like what they can do late in the game if they're close. If we're within one score going into the fourth quarter, and I believe we will be, I'll believe it'll be like 28-24 going into the fourth quarter. And once again, Dylan takes us down the field and leads us to the promised land. 31-28 Huskers. Coach BA's got it 34-20 Huskers, so he sees a much more dominant win by the Big Red. I'll be curious to hear what he has to say about how he sees that coming up.
Yeah, I think, unfortunately, I do have to pick us to lose this game. Preseason, I had us losing this game, and
I did too.
And that was assuming USC was going to be what I think they're better than I expected them to be this year. I knew that they were going to be good. The only downside with them is that they have 2 star running backs injured, so they could be even better than they are coming into Memorial Stadium. I'd say it's going to be a close loss, 31-24 USC. The part of me that thinks that we can win this game, I would want arbitrary analytics to find this stat. What is the win percentage of a team that comes off of a bye week and then travels? Because I wonder what that does psychologically to a player, because you get that off week. And so kind of the adrenaline of the week to week grind kind of tapers off. And then you got to get on a plane. You're from California. You got to fly to the Midwest and you got to play a night game in a hostile environment. And so there might be some, lethargy. There might be a little bit of a little bit of trepidation. You're not as amped up. So if there's anything that I think could almost play into our favor, I just think psychologically, as I'm imagining that kind of context, like I'd be curious to find out what the win percentage of traveling teams after a bye week is, because I imagine it's probably not that high. So I think that's the difference that could win Nebraska this game is you get a USC team that's not in rhythm. They're not ready to play under the lights. We've got a super energetic Memorial Stadium. We're trying to get our first ranked win since 2016.
Yep.
There's just a lot of things that I think play into Nebraska's favor. But assuming USC comes out and plays their best game, assuming that they play to their strengths, and we tend to play to our weaknesses, are we going to be ready for this game? I don't know. Like I said, we talked about this at the beginning of the podcast. I still don't know what to think of this team. There are some things that I can point out that I go, we are for sure good at special teams. We've got a guy in Emmett Johnson. We've got Raiola, who likes to drink clutch juice after throwing an interception. And we've got guys like Isaiah Hunter and Dane Key that have done some good things for us this year. And we've got a secondary that is good. But everything else just seems to be this topsy-turvy, turbulent experience. So I just can't in good heart be able to pick us to win this game. I think we can still win 2 more games this year. But man, I'd love to win this one, but I'm just preparing my heart to lose it. So yeah, 31-24, USC pulls it off, and we are back to the chaotic Twitter.
Yep. See, this stat right here scares me, because if it's true that Riley is 0-7 after a bye week and traveling 2 time zones, I think they beat Purdue this year, didn't they? Didn't they go to so they're probably 1-6 or 1-7. So of course we would be the anomaly in that statistic, right?
Oh yeah.
And the other Dave is flying in, like you said earlier, to 31-28. And you're with me, Dave. Appreciate that. Cold, insane stadium pick 6 or a punt return TD. I'm not flying in to see us lose. Well, I hope you are correct, Dave. I mean, I was beginning of this week, I was 31-28 USC. I really was. After Saturday and kind of thinking about things, I was like 31-28, but the home field advantage. It's a night game. The place is going to be jumping. It's going to be a blackout, supposedly, a mostly blackout. I can imagine what that environment's going to be. I mean, they've swapped all the flags out for black flags, too. I mean, it's crazy what they're doing to promote this. So should be interesting to watch it on TV, see what it looks like.
Dude, I'm excited for it.
I am, too. I really am.
There's a game that I would have wanted to go to. It would have been this one this year, but I'm still holding, which I guess for you, Dad, you were like, I'm not going to participate in this game thing until we're bowl eligible, which we are now. So
yeah, I thought about it. I'm not lying. I can't lie to you. I've been thinking about it. I just don't know if I want to sit in 38-degree weather. I'm old.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't
want to.
I think I'm going to take an off season this year. I've gone to at least a game since moving to Lincoln in 2018. And I think this year I'm just, just let it be what it's going to be this year. But man, this game would be a game to go to. The blackout, everything that they're doing to make the aesthetics of the stadium look incredible. That, third to fourth quarter light show is going to be insane.
Oh, for sure.
Because that red is going to really pop when you don't have this, red stadium. You're going to have all that red from the lighting
Oh, yeah.
really pop with all the black shirts that are in the stadium. So it's going to be a game. I mean, man, dude, it's hard to not talk myself into winning this game because, like I said, they're coming off of a bye week. They're traveling to Lincoln. It's going to be cold. They're from freaking California, man. They're not used to playing in Big Ten cold. So we've got all that. We've got a team that's got a chip on their shoulder. We're bound to win a ranked game eventually. It's statistically
sure.
impossible for us to just into infinity to lose every ranked game for the rest of time. There's just a lot riding on this game that I think plays into Nebraska's favor. But for the sake of being the little boo bird, boo, we're going to lose. So, Dave, I hope for your sake and your sake alone, I will be not selfish here. For your sake, Dave, I hope we win. Not my dad's sake.
Yeah.
My dad can pound sand. Just for you, Dave. Just for you, Dave. Not the other Dave.
Man,
you, Dave. You're the primary Dave. Whoever the other Dave is.
He's the other Dave now. You're just the other Dave. The primary other Dave.
You are the primary other Dave. And because of you, we're going to win this game. And I can't wait to be wrong next week when we talk about this game.
Certainly will be awesome if you are. I'm believing. I believe. I have to believe. I talked myself into losing the game last week. I'm not doing that again. So that's the way I feel tonight. Tomorrow could change.
You think we're winning out?
Hey, what if we're 9-2 going into Iowa? Would you shift your mindset to, hey, maybe we'll go freeze our butts off in the stadium for that one?
No, nope. Nope.
Too cold.
Nope. Iowa's got me. They've got me. I don't know, man. I hate Iowa so much, but I've never been to a game where we beat Iowa, and I feel like maybe I'm the problem. It's like Taylor Swift, Hey, yeah. Me, it's hi, I'm the problem. So if I don't go,
I love it. Maybe it's like your mom with volleyball. As soon as she starts watching, they start losing points, so then she stops watching. So I'm like, yeah, they haven't dropped a set in the Big Ten yet, baby. She goes, well, that's because I haven't watched a game in the Big Ten yet. And I'm like, okay, Miss Superstitious, who's not supposed to be superstitious. But anyway. Well, I think that pretty much wraps it up. I think we've covered about all we can cover at this point, and appreciate all the guys who've been watching. You can follow our show. You know how to do it. It's right there on X, Facebook, and YouTube at Gen Red Pod. Our podcast for the audio for this show is at Generation Red on Apple, Google, Spotify, or your favorite podcast app. Make sure you subscribe, leave us a rating and a review. The website is genredpod.com, and you can message us at genredpod@gmail.com. And of course, go to genredpod.com, click on the link at the top of the page, and you can buy some of our merch. We would really appreciate it. How about yourself, Scott?
Yeah, you can follow me on Twitter at Scott GenRedPod. That's Scott with 2 T's. Second T is silent. Sorry, I saw there was a teleprompter there, and I was like, what does this do?
Isn't that kind of cool?
Wow, that's interesting. Sorry, those who are listening, I'm just doofing around with the teleprompter on StreamYard, and I've never seen that before, so I did a thing. But yeah, you can follow me on Twitter at ScottGenRedPod. The second T in Scott is silent, as it is, and as it will always be.
That's right.
So yeah, got distracted there.
Well, yeah, I haven't played around with see, I don't know if that new teleprompter on StreamYard, speaking of it, if I were to set something up in the notes and set up as a teleprompter, would you see it too, or can you set up your own and it would just be independent to whoever's using that notes feature on StreamYard? It's something we should probably play around with one of these days. And they also changed some of the things with the comments on the screen too. If you just turn it on, it'll just throw whatever the latest ones are up on there. It's pretty cool, and you can change the size. You can make them tall. You can make them wide.
Ooh.
Pretty cool. You can make them regular. And you can make the font bigger. So that's pretty
so blind people like you can actually read.
Yeah, I can actually see it when it's on the TV way across the room. So yeah, it's
Very
pretty
nice.
cool.
Thanks, Moonbot. Thanks, Dave. Thanks for joining the show tonight.
Thanks,
You guys
Big Red
are
Junkies. You guys were here hanging out. Appreciate you guys as well. This has been fun, and I do miss Justin. I miss Coach, but sometimes life intervenes, and there's other important things you have to handle. And I appreciate that those guys let us know they needed to handle stuff, and hopefully they and myself can hang out right here with you guys again on StreamYard tomorrow night, and we'll talk about the same kind of things, and they'll have some different insights in both those games. So until next time, folks, he's Scott. I'm Ken. Together we're Generation Red, and we're here every week to chronicle Nebraska's inevitable return to college football greatness, one podcast at a time, because there's no place like Nebraska.
Go Big Red. Iowa's corn sucks, and in Rule we trust.
Indeed we do. We'll see you all next week, if not tomorrow night. Go Big Red.